Hey guys, how's it? Ryan here, and I just thought I'd do a little quick, well, I don't know how quick it's going to be, but it's not going to be too long either, hopefully. But a little video for Mental Health Day, just for my friends, man, that's it, just for my friends. So I know there's a few of you out there struggling, and I was just at the gym on a Sunday, which, if you know me, you know a few years ago, a Sunday would have been still up from Friday with my jaw flapping and, a different story. So, anyway, this ain't about me, but just know that I've been to the bottom mentally. So I understand where you're coming from, and there's no judgment. Right. Grab a cuppa if you want, and a pen. So again, this isn't for you guys that are still on it, whatever, because you'll be in the club, and there's this other club that aren't, and this club looks funny, and you've got the secret. So this isn't for you if you don't want to listen to it. But if you do, if you deep down that you want to do, I don't expect this video to it's not, I'm better than you, it's nothing like that. It's just things that have helped me in the past and things that I'm using now, because we've all gone through a rough year, that might help. So if you want to have a listen, that's cool. And like I said, grab a pen, grab a cup of tea, and maybe take a couple of notes if you want to as well. So these are just some ideas from an article I have called 7 Steps to Beating Depression and Getting Back to Your Music. But these ideas, they don't just have to be for, it's for all of my mates that watch this. So you don't have to be a musician. You don't even have to really be depressed. You could just be struggling with certain vices. It could be eating, could be whatever, thinking about something too much. Whatever it is, just take what you want from it, really, and I'll just spiel out some stuff. Okay, so the first step really is to realize that you're depressed, that there's something going on. Now that sounds stupid, you'll be like, what? But often when you've been a certain way or in a certain state for a while, you become numb to it. So skipping forward a bit, when I was going through the depression before I got diagnosed and everything else, I was just numb. I remember, telling my mother, like, oh, I'm kind of finished here. Like in this plane, in this world, I'm done. And I wasn't angry about it. I didn't feel depressed. I wasn't even sad at that point. It was just, oh no, I'm finished. And I couldn't see in my head really that something was wrong. So you could argue that nothing was if I felt that way, but you can argue anything. You know what I mean? Something was wrong. But hopefully, if you've been in a off way for a while, that the first step is to realize it, and then just, if you can, just decide to do something about it today. It only has to be a little thing, but do something. The second step is to tell someone. This can be the hardest, and especially, well, it's not even just Kiwi culture, it's all over the place, but Kiwi culture has a stupid, staunch thing in it, which is just an act. But anyway, we'll get into that later. I couldn't really tell someone at first, so what I did was I wrote my story down. That was the first thing I did. And because when you're going through stuff, especially if you're younger, and you're at school and things like that, people just think you're weird, and that's fair enough, because they're young as well. They don't understand. They don't really have the emotional maturity to kind of comprehend that something could be going on at home, or something could be going on in your mind, or whatever. It's just, they're a bit weird. So the first thing, if you can't tell anyone and you're feeling that pressure that you really can't, is to write it out. Just start writing. And like tonight, if you think, oh yeah, that's a good idea, maybe Maybe I should. Maybe I should just do something about it. Even just like start now and just write down a few sentences, because you can always come back to it tomorrow, you know. But the thing is, again, it's just a start. It's like anything, just like playing guitar, just like picking up that hobby you want to do. It's just making a start with it. So I wrote my thing. I wrote my story down first, and then I ended up showing a friend of mine, and I picked him because he was he was a dude that was buzzing out at a younger age as well, to be honest. So he could understand. And this is gonna upset a few of my friends that knew him, but he yeah, I won't get into that because he's not with us anymore. But he was a really good dude, and yeah, he was a different thinker as well. So, but when I showed him what my story was, you know, about hearing everything that anyone would say to me and thinking it was mocking me, you know, and of stuff like thinking the moon was a spotlight and all that stuff. Bear with me now. He says, "Hey, dude, I've had that thought before." You know, and sometimes that's all it takes is one person not going, laughing at you, but actually going, nah, man, I understand. Or at least, well, I can feel you on that. It's not, you know, that's okay. So, once I did that, okay, lots of other ups and downs that I won't get into because, again, it's not about me, but there was some dark stuff. And then the next step was to seek help. And the way it happened for me was I was on the phone to my mum, and like I said before, at that stage I was living alone, and it was not really healthy, and I just said, look, you know, I'm done, kind of thing. And there was a lot of stuff going on. There was my cousin's funeral, and that when you have a few funerals in a year, as some of you know, it kind of screws with you a bit, especially if they're overly religious, because then it really can get in your head. And I kind of ended up putting a spotting knife to my neck and thought I needed to be with God and all sorts of stuff. So, but I was done in this dimension, and I felt the rat race. You know, and a lot of people do. You don't have to be depressed to feel the rat race, especially in cities. So she said, "Look, you need to see the doctor." And I said, well, okay. So we went and saw the doctor, and he asked me, I tell this to my mates if we talk about it, but he asked me like the best and the worst question. He just looked at me and goes, "So how are you?" And that was it, man. I just, and so he ended up putting me towards Whirinaki and East Tamaki, and that was the best thing really, was talking about it first, because before that, you know, typical young dude, like, you just try and get on with it, or drink a 40 ounce or whatever you want to do to mask it. I'm not saying not to do those things, I'm just saying that was what it was. But once you talk about it a bit, it gets it off your chest. Like Mike King said, secrets make you sick, you know, and once you talk about it a little bit, then you lose the shame of talking about it or whatever, you know, you just... And it's probably not as big a deal as you think. And I don't mean how it feels to you, I mean what it is that you want to get off your chest. There's going to be someone else that understands it as well. But it's just that talking about it first. And look, it doesn't matter if you're a big staunch dude, we've all got problems. And it doesn't mean you have to go around suddenly, you know, crying about every time you graze your knee. Especially with media now, it's trying to make men do that. But... don't be afraid just to say it to someone, especially if you can get to a service like that. You know, they're outside of your circle, so you can just tell them they're professionals, whatever. And you might feel that you're in the matrix a bit then, you know, they're trying to feed you up on pills, or they're taking your secret, all sorts of shit if you're not in a good place. But you just have to, again, just realize it in your head and go, something's off. What's the worst? I need to talk. I need to just talk about this. So there's different things that can help you in the UK. There's Music Minds Matter. These are more for musicians, but again, you can just look up things on your own outside of that if you're not a musician. But hey, just start anywhere. Pieta House in Ireland, Music Helps in New Zealand, Anxiety and Depression Association of America in the US, and I'mAlive.org as well. The next thing I'd say to do is to take responsibility, and this is one of the first things when I very first quit drinking. I instead of spending money on a tin or a box, I spent my money on a book, because I realised I was partying at my house, and I realised that, as much as I love my mates, I wasn't going to get the best advice from them, especially in the state they were in at that point. And I looked around, and all my books were of dead rock stars. So that's pretty much the information that was going in my head. So I went out and I bought a book that was on self-development. And then I got the same buzz off that I did when I first heard the music that changed my life. When you first hear music, it's like the music that changes you, the air around you changes. And some of you might laugh, but if you're a musician, you'll know exactly what I mean. Those bands or those artists that get you, it changes. That's it. And you know that you're in that direction. And when I read those books that had good information in it, I got that same thing. And I knew then I had to re-brainwash myself, really. And to someone that hasn't done this, it could sound a bit culty or whatever, like, you're just getting swept up in it. But no, I mean, you're going to be brainwashed in some way anyway. The media's coming at you 24/7. Life is coming at you. So your brain's going to take in all of these things. Your mind's going to take in all of these things. You might as well, switch it up if you can and start putting in the good stuff. So I used to drive around in my beaten up old van around Clevedon, and just go for these drives, listening to these audio books and that over and over, just putting good information in my head. And it was working. It slowly changed. And it takes a lot of tries. I'm not saying that you're going to listen to something, all of a sudden the world's fixed, and you've stopped all your vices and everything else. You'll probably crash and burn a few more times. But the thing is, you just got to make that start. And it's the same thing. I always bring it back to playing guitar, but it's exactly the same. If you really want to do it, you'll do it, and you'll stop the bullshit excuses. You'll do it, and you won't worry about your mates laughing at you, because some of them will. Just do it. And if you fail, get up, do it again. And if you fail again, get up and do it again. And eventually, the more you start doing it again, that becomes what you're doing. There's different things I have out there for musicians and that too, just thinking in this article, but I won't go on about it now too much. But there's Use Your Buzz to Play the Guitar is a book that I wrote in 2012, which combines personal growth with music and creativity. And there's a free audio version online, and I've also got free stuff online with the Musician's Values audio series and a Musician's Confidence course. But again, I don't want to seem like this is just, this is my stuff, blah, 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 because it's not. This is just a video for my friends. But that's in the article, and if you're a musician especially, it's there. And that's what I do. That's what I've devoted my life to, is helping musicians through writing and through making clinics. And back in 2012, I was going to organisations like the Music Managers Forum here, and I went over to London to see someone there about it as well, to say that there needs to be more personal growth in music and in the music industry. Now, when you get deep into the music industry, you realise that magazine covers are bought. Okay, they're paid for. There's a thing called a rate card, which you pay for the advertorial, then you get a write-up. So there's all these things in the music industry that you learn, that PR and your image is essentially paid for. But once you learn it, you can either get bitter, or you can go, okay, that's fine. That's the way it works. I'm still a musician underneath all that. And the main important thing is to work on your craft and love the process. Just enjoy being a musician. But you can work with these things. And another reason I say that is because you might get into this personal growth stuff and you'll go hard. You'll realise this is wicked. You get full on into it. But you can burn out on that stuff too. And don't be afraid to be real, because remember, a lot of the top guys that have all the marketing around them, they're the big speakers and everything else, they're going to market what looks good. They've got a PR team. Okay, so you're seeing the illusion. Okay, Elton John had a really good quote about fame is an illusion that can be bought and sold. Okay, it's different than the... Anyway, I won't get into that. I'm going off track. But just remember that underneath it all, don't be afraid to be real. Step number 6 is having goals and plans. And again, when you first start changing into a more positive direction, you might have these things where a goal might be increase my knowledge on time management, or it might be, if you're a musician, it'll be things like whoa, I'm not, staying up on Friday nights anymore, doing all this crap. I can start putting it towards my artwork. I can start organizing that tour, and that's great stuff. But again, you'll find it's a balance after a while. You might, because you've been in this other world for so long, once you stop that world and you get into the new one, you might go like this, like a sound wave that's just extreme. So it might take a while to balance, but you'll find that. You'll find how that goes. Why I'm saying that is because when you're at that point, goals can be really intense, but you'll adjust them. You'll see what I mean. But relaxing might be a goal. I remember I went for a trip away once, and this girl she said, I was lying down, I wasn't moving around for once, and I said, well, I can't believe it, I don't have to do anything, I'm just chilling. And she said, yeah, that's called relaxing. Oh, yeah. So relaxing might be a goal. But small steps, and again, I know I'm bringing it back to guitar playing again, but it's the same thing with your guitar playing. If you want to really, get good at chords, but you're just working on that Master of Puppets solo, your goals aren't matching what you really want. So, and you might start just substituting stuff, which I'll get to in a second. But again, just keeping it real and remembering that once you learn these different things and you see some of the darker side, especially if you're a musician, when you're angry about it and when you're in depression, it's very much a this isn't working thing. These people did this to me. The world's like this, the culture's like this. And I'm still guilty of that a bit too. I was very much like that as well. But the thing is, what you can do is start turning it towards you, but in a compassionate way, not in a way that you beat yourself up over it. Because I get that too. I'll be driving along and I'll think of something I said to someone when I was like 13. It wasn't even a big deal. It was just a dorky thing to say or that. But it'll be right in my head, man. And I'll be killing myself over it for something I said years ago. So I'm just saying, it's nice to, when we learn these darker things and that about some realities and they're affecting us, or if we're a bit down and we're starting to point at the world too much, point it back to us, but compassionately, and just see what we can do, small steps to start improving. The next step would be exercise. And look, I'm not preaching again, and I know what it's like to not exercise. I know what it's like to exercise and then to lose all that, to go from having a good body to being clinically obese. I know what it's like to just eat and eat and eat because you're trying to numb your brain in the same way you drink and drink and drink. But the thing about exercise, what you got to do is, these are all just things I've found, so they're just suggestions to my mates. So don't analyze it too much, just take what you can from it. But what I found with exercise is you find something that works for you. So it's just like with music. If you get, over the years I've taught thousands and thousands of students, and it never works if you've got parents dropping off children that are really into rugby, but they force them to do guitar lessons because the parents wanted to do guitar. It just doesn't really work. 9 times out of 10 anyway. And it's the same with exercise. Sometimes you might try something new and you'll click with it, and you can run with it. But if you're going to do something you don't enjoy, like the better option is to find exercise you do like. So for instance, like I like boxing. That's what I love it, man. I'm not massive on rugby, but boxing, I'll watch it. It's cool. I like doing it. It interests me. It's more interesting than weights, okay, for me. But I'm just getting into weights and stuff a bit. So, geez, I might come back in a year and say a different thing. But for me, most of the time, changing from being overweight, eating too much, drinking, all the rest of it, I found that boxing and kickboxing for me worked really well. And it might be other things like karate. I did a bit of karate when I was a kid, and much respect and blessings to my old sensei in Shihan, Alf Terry, because he was a great teacher. and instilled some good things in here. But like I say, you just find what you like. If it's kayaking, even just something where you're moving, and you can start. If you're in a situation now where you're drinking too much or you're doing something too much and you know it's hurting you, start to just swap little things. Like, for example, if you're eating too much or whatever, your diet's not great, don't go and try and suddenly do some crash diet, because it ain't going to work. You're going to go hard and then you're going to stop it. Just make small adjustments that can be a permanent change into your lifestyle. So you might cut your sugar out of your cups of tea. Just a small thing like that, but it makes a big difference over time. Okay, just in the way that if you want to practice guitar, you do a little bit each day is going to do more than just trying to jam everything in at the end of the week. Okay, so just a little bit, something like you might substitute your cereal because it's high in sugar, you might just substitute that for oats. Just little changes. With drinking, you might not, I mean, you might stop cold turkey. You know, it depends how heavy a drinker you are and kind of what's going on, but you might just swap out Friday night, you know, and that's what I did first. I couldn't just stop, so I stopped Friday nights for a while, and bless my cousin Aaron, because he would come over and we would work on album art and art for my tours and things like that. So like I say, Friday nights before at that little round table, we're smoky, we're hazy, we're paranoid, you know. Friday nights after that, we're productive. Suddenly there's a new album cover. Suddenly there's a tour happening. Suddenly I can see a future. So like I say, just little swaps, you know, little swaps. But find something you like, find an exercise you like, or find a new habit that you like, and just switch the habit first. And the last step, remember these are all synergistic, so they all work together and you can do them one at a time. You might not necessarily start at step one, but that's kind of the logical order that I just found works and worked when I looked back over what helped me. So the last thing is conditioning. And whenever you do anything, when you make an album or when you've got something creative happening, when you run a teaching business or any business, there's two parts to it. There's the making and the maintenance. So in other words, you've got the thing that you're making, okay? Might be a new website, but then there's part two to that. There's the maintenance. If you don't maintain it, it's going to go shoddy. So if you've got a teaching business, but you don't get new leads, or you don't update, get a new packet of strings, your strings are going to sound dead, your leads are going to start crackling, it's going to be no good. And it's the same thing when you're making, say, a new website. Yeah, you can get this cool website up, but then if you don't, say, delete the doubles of photos, or if you don't remove old links, then you're going to click to nowhere throughout every page on the thing. And, things you got to. So, or if you're placing an ad for Musicians Wanted, put it on, but then update it once a week so your ad stays at the top and doesn't get buried. So there's the making, and then there's the maintenance. And my last point, why I'm saying this, step number 7 is conditioning. Now this is when, luckily, when I was younger and did martial arts and did really well in that, conditioning was a big part of it. So you can't just learn the moves, you've got to condition and be doing it all of the time. And then you become strong, you start loving the workout, you start liking it. And you kind of condition yourself you can condition yourself for bad shit too, because you get used to doing it, So once you've done these other steps, condition what you're doing, so because you want things to be a permanent change rather than just change it and then drop it. Again, you might change and drop for a while, that's cool, but keep that in mind, where you're going, okay? The negative's going to come, but know where you're going. So conditioning, what you can start with as well, is kind of ties into this, is just changing parts of your environment. Okay, so if I took a photo of where I was on a Sunday a few years back, I'm not even going to say what would be around me, but and then if I took a photo before, it was all good, healthy stuff. It's exercise equipment and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying you have to go to the gym. It's not important. about what specifically it is, but I'm saying you change that actual environment that you're in. And back to that step about taking responsibility. If you're going to move overseas to change something, if you're going to, if you're going to let go of some people because you know that they don't have your best interest at heart. And I'm not saying use people at all. I'm saying sometimes you've got to start looking after yourself. But all of these changes, it's so hard to make a permanent change if you stick yourself in the same toxic environment over and over. So condition yourself by keeping these changes going and starting to change the environment. Now you might just go out and get something that smells nice for your room. It's good positive stuff. Less stresses, Get something that tastes nice for yourself. Just make these small changes and start to, like I say, keep those good thoughts going. It might be changing what you read. It might be, swapping a Sunday drinks for a Sunday walk with a good friend who's going to be your friend regardless of if you drink or not. But anyway, I've bleated on enough, and I knew I'd forget my tea as well. So I put the paper down here because, like I say, this isn't my usual thing. If I get everything ready, prepared, and go, it's just a chat with you guys. You know what I mean. You crazy bastards. Okay. So, to sum it up, because it's been a long video, way longer than I thought. 1, realize that something's going on that's not healthy for you. Okay? Get that awareness going in your head, then know you've got to do something about it. If you can't say anything first, write it down. And write all these things down if you think they're going to help. Step number 2 is to tell someone. If they laugh at you, tell someone else. But tell someone. And I don't give a shit if you're a staunch-ass gang member. I don't care if you're selling your body. I don't care if you're preaching the gospel. I don't care if you're love and light. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We're all in it together. If you strip away our filters that we've had over the years and our memories, we're all pretty much the same looking out. So it doesn't matter, okay? Tell someone. The next thing, step number 3, seek help. Seek professional help if you need to. 4th step, take responsibility. Now you might even have to do this first before these other steps, but at this point, once it's going, once you've told someone, take responsibility and it's up to you. No one else can do your press-ups for you. No one else can exercise your fingers for you if you're a guitar player. So get moving. Do it yourself. Number 5, speaking of getting moving, exercise your body, exercise your mind. Read the good books. It's not about doing everything all at once. Don't burn out on trying to read everything and trying to improve yourself because you feel you're not good enough. It's not about that. But just read the good stuff. Get the good stuff coming in. Exercise your body. If you can't really move that much, just walk to the letterbox and back. Small steps, okay? Like I say, there was a point in my life I couldn't go into shops. I just couldn't do it. Go into that shop. Go into the eye of the storm. But something small, okay? Start moving. Number 6, goals and plans. Write down a goal now. Doesn't have to be a big one. Write down a goal for this week, okay? Then write down your next step after that. Get some goals. Get some plans. Number 7 is conditioning. Once you're getting these steps going, make sure that that ball is starting to roll. So, I love you guys. Take care. It's been a hard year for everyone, but hey, we're still here and we can do it. And despite a lot of the stuff in media trying to make you weak, stay strong, stay calm and stay strong. And I love you guys. Let's do it.